Welcome back to Are You a Fan, where we explore individual characters from your favorite sci-fi, action, and fantasy genres. A big thank you to Moonbound Productions for supporting today's episode. If you would like to express your support, please like and share the show. Here's your hosts, Dick Rail and Joker.
Hello, folks. Welcome to another episode of Are You a Fan by Moonbound Productions. If you like the episode, give us a like, share, follow, and you know what? Enjoy. Joker, got a question for you in the audience.
What's up?
If you could take a serum that would grant you superpowers, would you?
Honestly, I would, and kind of hope it doesn't go to my head.
Because ultimately that's the question. Is going from a regular Joe Schmo to I can lift up a car.
And who knows what else
You're
other
true.
powers you get. Because as we saw on the show, like, it was a very vast variety.
And I'm not going to lie, I would too. Arguably, that being said, me and the Joker should never be allowed to have superpowers.
We also were willing to take the
Super
enhancements for Halo.
Oh, true, yeah.
And those had pretty much almost a 40% kill rate.
Yeah.
So, I mean, of course we were gonna say yes to this.
Exactly. It's like steroids, minimal side effects, and I get superpowers? Yes. So that brings us into today's episode. Today we are covering Billy the Butcher from the comic book The Boys and also the show. But we're going in his comic origins, just,
Which, honestly, it really isn't any different than the show. From the research I watched, like, they're really no different. They basically just took the characters from the comics for the most part, and because his story really didn't seem to change.
I will say the only difference I've noticed from the comic to the show is he's more human. Like he's less in the comics he is like far more effed up.
I also don't know if I'd say he's very human in the show either.
I definitely say he's more in comparison. But folks, how about you be the deciding factor on this? So let's get into it. Real world. So the Butcher, Billy the Butcher, is a Dynamite entertainment character created by writer Garth Ennis and artist Derek Robertson. He first appeared in the series The Boys, issue number 1, released in 2006. Arguably, probably our most recent character.
Well, it's not even arguably. It is the most recent character.
Shit, you're
Because
right.
everybody else, the closest has been the 90s. And that was like the early 90s, like 91 to 93. So now this is the newest character we've ever talked about.
Oh, he's a baby. Okay.
Very violent baby.
So going into our Gen Z character. Joker, take it away on the next.
So Enos describes the character, Butcher's desire for revenge is what drives him to consume him, or drives and consumes him 100%. Robertson describing bringing to life Butcher's visual look as a dark, cruel smile of malicious intent. He should look knowing, like he can see right into us, know our fear. A glint in the eye, an amused look. And that all fits, especially knowing how the character is and just the way his personality type is. Like, that all fits very well.
Character definitely takes pleasure in what he does. And what he does isn't very good.
Well, it depends on which side of the coin you're on.
Very true. The comics are actually very, very gray in that regard, which I appreciate as a reader. So let's get into in-universe. That's kind of it for out-of-universe. So let's do it. Okay, so name is William J. Billy, a.k.a. The Butcher.
Well, it is William J. Butcher. Nickname is Billy.
Okay, yeah, okay.
That's why it's got the quote-unquote.
Yep, okay, my bad. So William was the son of Samuel Butcher and Carol Atkins-Butcher, and the older brother of Leonard, also known as Lenny Butcher, raised in London on the East End.
Which, knowing his key phrase, knowing he's from London, just makes so much more sense.
Oh, yeah. Well, if it ain't the invisible cunt.
So the Butcher children often would spend their nights listening to their father beat their mother over minor arguments of theirs. These beatings would lead Billy to resent his father and grow closer to his mother and her family. Because, like every other comic character, that even being so new, they're still sticking to the trope.
Gotta have it. I can't wait to the day where we see, like, I don't care if they're a villain or a good guy, but just some character who you meet their, like, whole living family and they're all just decent people.
I mean, on the bright side, he's doing better than most heroes and villains. His parents are still alive.
True.
When he starts his stuff.
True. Having both parents alive is, wow, it's sad that's like, it's like he's doing better than heck, even Superman.
Pretty much everybody.
Yeah. Okay, so because of his rough life at home, Billy started acting out in school. From getting into fights to calling teachers vulgar names, like
he called one of them a cunt.
Oh, definitely. Okay, Mrs. Cunt. After a few years of this type of behavior, Samuel realized that Billy had taken after him and his lifestyle, something Billy had tried hard to avoid. Well, apparently not that hard. But being a kid, that's understandable.
It also makes sense when that's what you're doing. You're taking it directly from your father at that point.
Exactly. That's it. Cycle of abuse.
Yep. And he just kind of continued it. So one night, Billy would plan to kill his father, but got stopped by Lenny. As the two calmed down after the incident, Billy told Lenny he had planned to join the Royal Marines.
Which, probably not the worst decision. Get away from. Joining the military in any fashion gets you away from the family.
Yep.
It's an option, I guess. So, inspired by his grandfather on his mother's side, Billy entered the Marines early enough that he was a participant in the 1982 Franklin's War.
That is not Franklin at all. There's no R in that.
Man,
that's Falklands.
I've been reading that wrong for a while then. So, he was in the 1982 Falklands War, which I'm not going to lie, I know nothing of that.
I've at least heard of Falkland, but that's about it.
Okay, well, I guess not a lot to really elaborate on that one.
At least not from us. So it would be during a battle on Mount Kent that Butcher got his first taste of killing when he wiped out a small foxhole of Argentina troops after members of his platoon were killed. I wish they elaborated on what he did.
Same.
Because I would have loved just to know how much he butchered, how much he stuck to his name.
Hey-oh. He said it.
Roll credits.
That would actually probably have been pretty, at least interesting to see, and that or hear about and that honestly they probably go further into it in the comics. Problem is, we're poor people. I can't afford to buy every comic that we research. So, not too long after that war ended, Butcher was kicked out of the Royal Marines following a bar fight. He would then return to East End to visit his mother and brother and would get into another bar fight, resulting in him getting 2 black eyes. So, he's just an angry dude just looking for an excuse.
At this point, if it wasn't for the fact they've already said he's from England, I think he was from Ireland. As many brawls as he's getting into bar fights.
Yeah, no, not wrong. Dang, this guy loves to fight. I almost going into this, I'm shocked they didn't really emphasize or show I would loved if they just showed that he was a big soccer fan, just a hooligan.
Oh, he probably is.
I don't doubt it as much as he loves to fight.
So the day after his most recent bar fight, Billy would meet a woman named Becky Saunders while riding a subway train. After Saunders made a remark that Butcher resembled a panda with his 2 black eyes, the two would strike up a conversation and continuing to talk over drinks after getting off the train. Yeah, that's a great way to meet somebody. Oh, yeah, you look like a panda.
Ballsy move, but honestly, Butcher probably respected that.
That's probably why they hit it off.
Right? He's just she just says that to him. He just looks there. He's like, I'll lock you. So a week later, the pair had lunch together where Becky listened to Billy explain his parents' abusive relationship, and Billy told her that she was the most beautiful woman he had ever seen. Following this lunch, the two officially became romantically involved. Dang, dude, Billy does not waste any time. Kudos.
I mean, I feel like part of that probably came from him being in war and realizing, you really can't waste time.
I mean, also, like, because I've seen the entire two seasons, still really want to read the comics, but he also just seems like kind of he's a very brass, upfront, but somehow charismatic as all hell character.
Now, the question is he really charismatic, or is what we consider charismatic because he's like us?
Yeah, I didn't really. We're going to move right along, Joker. Why don't you proceed?
So, during a dinner later on with Billy, Becky, Lenny, and Carol, Becky would encourage Carol to leave Sam for good, where Carol would agree, and the four went to confront Samuel. After helping his mother to get away from his father, and also almost fighting him in the process, Billy would ask Becky to marry him, and she would joyfully say yes, and their wedding would be held sometime later.
So Becky, honestly, I kind of like the character. She's a very stick with it, sympathetic, awesome person. Mostly because I abandon friends when they're just like, dude, I got this parking ticket. Could you know what? I'm out.
Yep.
I'm a finicky person. But, kudos to her, though. And
oh, heck yeah.
Also, Billy, I wouldn't have blamed him if he beat the living hell out of his father.
I don't think most people would.
Billy's life took a turn for the worse when his brother Lenny was killed by a bus in 1986. Well distraught over the loss of his brother, life for Billy continued and soon got a job in construction. Which, I mean, I could see that being very heart-wrenching because from what I can tell of the show and from even things I've seen on the character in the comics, he is very close to his brother. It's the
yeah, we've already covered he's close to his brother and his mom.
Yeah, so but at the same time, I also do think it is within character, given what he's been through and even being through the war he's been through, he would have that mentality of okay, this is heart-wrenching, this is terrible, but I have a life that I have to live.
Oh, and that's how most people are, just because, everybody deals with that kind of trauma differently.
Oh, very much
His,
so.
because he's had that experience, just made it a little easier for him.
Yeah.
So, eventually, Billy and Becky would go on to a week's vacation to Miami, Florida. During the trip, the two would see the superhero team known as the Seven in the area. And I guess that from what research there was, I guess they had just saved the world again, from what they were saying.
Probably from some fake threat that the company who gives them powers is probably responsible for.
Most likely.
So, unbeknownst to Billy at the time, Becky was, trigger warning, raped by a member of the Seven just before they were to return home to London. Billy was under the assumption that he had done something wrong to her, with him feeling like they were becoming distant from each other. Which, honestly, with Billy, that's probably not a bad guess.
Well, but also knowing the typical way most people deal with that situation.
Yeah.
They do become very distant most of the time from their loved ones and people they care about. So,
and I'm not putting any blame on her. It makes sense, why she's acting, but I also see his logic and knowing who he is. I'm like, that's
what I'm saying. Is the only issue with that logic is at the time he hasn't shown any reason to think he did anything wrong, because he hasn't shown that he's been a bad partner to her.
Yeah,
and it makes sense that because she has been separating her from him, that makes sense. Yeah. But other than that, there's nothing shown that he's done anything wrong to her to think otherwise. To think it's something that he did.
Yeah, but I could just see as the character, him just being like, okay, I know I'm a bit of an asshole. What did I do? Let me think. Just more of that concept.
Okay. The way you started that, it sounded like you're talking like he was like his dad and was beating her.
Oh, no. More of like just knowing him being a brass kind of an asshole guy, just him sitting down one day and just being like, what did I do exactly?
So basically, it's not what did I do, it's what did I say?
Yeah, what have I said something? I know I'm an asshole, but she would have told me if I said something, right?
See, that makes more sense than where you started.
That's more of what I'm going for with that. Okay.
So, 3 months after returning from Florida, while the two were sleeping, Becky would be killed by a superpowered fetus when a superpowered fetus cut its way out of her body. Billy would immediately shot out of bed and kill the infant with a desk lamp. Spawn kill.
Nice. I'm also thinking like straight up alien here.
Oh yeah,
just fucking belly burster.
Belly burster with spawn kill. Yeah, not gonna lie. As soon as I saw that one going over the script, I'm like, I know exactly what joke's going right there.
So, yeah, that's one hell of a wake-up call, though.
God, that'd be horrifying.
That would. I'm already a very skittish, easily startled person. I can only imagine how I would react. Well, actually,
you'd probably react very similar.
I was about to say, let's kind of go into how I possibly would react. After notifying the authorities, Billy was brought in for questioning by investigators who immediately knew superhuman activity was involved. When Billy attacked one of the investigators who wanted Billy to lie about the official story, he was then approached by a man named Greg Mallory, who gave Billy a secret diary written by Becky.
You know, the thinking about the investigator that wanted him to lie about is probably on the payroll of the company that has the 7.
Oh, definitely. Which
what was it? Vought.
Vought. Yep.
So he's probably on Vaught's payroll. Didn't want them to know about it, or it didn't want it to be connected to them somehow.
Yep. Also, I feel as though a lot of the authorities, around and that probably are under Vaught's payroll to an extent, or like deep government. Deep.
What I was just saying.
Yeah. Phil, there's a lot of them.
Through the contents of the diary, Billy would discover here that Homelander was responsible for raping Becky, and that she purposely kept it a secret from Billy out of fear that his bloodthirsty nature would return, and he would die trying to kill the superhero. Because, that's knowing him, that is a logical thought process. Knowing he was already a very brutal person early on in his life.
Yep. And she was not mistaken. Mallory explains to Butcher that he could teach Billy how to get his revenge on Homelander. Though it would be a long process that would take years to complete, Billy accepted Mallory's offer. As part of his training, Butcher's first mission involved him killing the super occupants of a large cabin in the woods. Using skills he picked up with the Royal Marines, Billy killed everyone inside the house with ease. And just like a little side note for anybody who's read who's seen the show and maybe not read the comics, I did see some things like Billy the Butcher's one of the few people that even Homelander is afraid of.
Oh yeah, I mean, he's brutal. He clearly shows he has no care for his own being.
Yeah,
because at this point he has no reason to.
Exactly, he's lost everything,
and those are the people you fear.
Yep, and also just the lot even Homelander may cross lines, but he sees the line. Billy, the line doesn't exist.
As we've seen in the show, even Homelander doesn't necessarily always see the line.
I mean, I feel like he sees it, and that's the only reason he knows, if I cross this.
He may saw it eventually. Because, they're leading up for most of the show. He saw no line. There was no line he wasn't willing to cross.
I feel it was the second season when he started to see the line.
That's what I'm saying. Is at one point, even he didn't see a line. He was very similar, and he would just do it.
Fair.
Once it got brought to his attention, then he started seeing a line.
Fair.
So, over the years, Billy and Mallory would recruit others to join their cause of, quote-unquote, keeping superheroes in check. Some of the members being Mother's Milk, the Frenchman, and the Female. Each member of this team, which Billy dubbed the Boys, was enhanced with Compound V, a serum that was responsible for giving some superheroes their powers. This original incarnation of the Boys disbanded sometime around late 2001, early 2002.
Also, a fun little side note on that is Billy actually tricked a few of them into taking the serum.
I mean, it makes sense, because not everybody's going to be as willing to take it.
Yeah. Which, just shows the whole, I
mean, it's like we saw earlier, as the creator talked about it, his whole purpose is he's consumed 100% by revenge.
Oh, yeah.
So he don't care.
Some years later, Billy would be responsible for getting the boys back together, this time adding a man named Huey Campbell, which he would nickname Wee Huey, to the team, who himself had a loved one killed by a result of the soups, which didn't really go into Huey's story, so don't know if it happened the same way as in the show.
I mean, most likely did.
Yeah, why not? Like, it'd be pointless to change that.
And I feel that the nickname did not come from Billy, but from the Frenchman with the Wee Huey. That had to be the Frenchman that gave him the nickname.
If I remember correctly, it was Huey who Billy full-blown, like, against his will, tricked him into taking the serum, too.
I believe it. Because if he's anything like he was in the TV show, he would have been very against that.
Exactly.
And especially because if he's anything like in the show, he was very skittish and kind of a lame nerd.
Bit of a pussy.
So, by this time, Billy had become more ruthless in his tactics. One example being his utilization of a modified version of Compound V to kill an entire warehouse of over 150 European-based heroes at the time.
Damn.
And all at once.
Impressive. Killtastic.
Well, that's Kalakaplex or Killionaire? I don't know. It was definitely whatever that tin was.
It's been so long since I've reached that. So
but I also kind of want to know what he did to the Compound V to kill 150 at once. Did he aerolyze it and add something else to it, like a poison?
Or possibly even concentrate it to overdose them. There's a lot of things that
It had to have been aerosoled or something put in the water to hit that many all at one time.
Yeah.
But the rest of it makes you real curious.
Really does. It's Billy the Butcher is, if anything, great at utilization.
Oh yeah.
The guy always has something up his sleeve. So by this time, Billy had be one blow. Butcher's revenge would really kick off after the 7-member Jack from Jupiter killed Butcher's pet dog Terror. No.
So here we're going into Jack Reach territory.
Yeah.
You killed his dog. You screwed up.
Which, fun fact, he had actually taught the dog to hump things to a point where he did have it hump the corpses of some of the heroes. Like the skulls. Skull fucking for everybody.
Oh god, that is horrible.
Yeah, so actually in season 2 when he has it hump the little toy, that's a reference to the comics.
Okay. That's good.
Which actually, if I'm being honest, I don't remember if the hero was actually even dead.
I'm sure some of them probably were. Some probably not.
Oh, yeah, no, but I remember it was just an effed up thing where, I think one was alive and he's just skull fuck it.
Having him do it to dead corpses isn't any better. Honestly, I think it's less worse doing it to a living person. As scary as that is.
I disagree because you're dead.
But it's a concept to be, I can't think of the word. No, sleeping with the dead.
Oh, sleeping with the dead.
Necrophilia. Thank you. The concept of that, it's already way beyond taboo, and then you're just adding on bestiality to it.
I mean, I guess fair in that. I guess I more have the mentality of I don't really care what happens to my corpse. I'd rather know that my corpse was humped by a dog than watch the dog coming at me and not be able to move. If that's kind of where my thought process is. Kill me now.
So, enraged, he would blackmail Homelander with photos that supposedly showed him committing several atrocities, including cannibalism and rape. Which we already know he's already capable of one of the two. And who's to say he wouldn't cannibalize something?
I mean, I'm not going to lie, with that kind of power, at a certain point you just get bored. And I feel like you just start doing random things.
I mean, while I agree with that, I'd like to think cannibalism wouldn't be one of your random things you would choose.
I mean, not on purpose, maybe. I don't know. I definitely have to be stuck on an island. I've mentioned it before. I'm not above it. I definitely wouldn't.
Different, because that's survival.
True.
Survival and boredom are very different things.
I feel like as an ADHD person, that I don't know if that's 100. It feels like I'm dying.
You know it.
I'm just being a little shit. Okay, so this attempt to blackmail ultimately backfired horribly, as Homelander didn't remember committing these atrocities and was slowly driven insane by them, which culminated in Homelander staging a coup and killing the president.
All right, so we go from just rape and cannibalism to something so much worse.
Yeah, arguably, he just straight up went injustice on that.
Yeah.
Wow. That's kind of a huge leap. I was expecting at least, maybe like killing a village or two before that.
And I guess I should probably specify, I don't mean that this is actually worse than rape, but it was a very large leap of going from being accused of these to actually committing this.
Yeah, true. Especially when you don't, you see that and you're like, that seems like a huge, if you didn't even, actually, let's carry on to explain why it's insane that he kind of went this way.
Yeah.
And that, because it'll make more sense once we kind of go a little bit more in depth here.
Yeah, and you tried to leave most of this next 3 paragraphs out.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
You kind of stopped after him killing the president.
Maybe. So when Butcher finally confronts him in the White House, Homelander reveals that he has no memory of the events taken in the photo. It is then that Black Noir came in and revealed his true identity as a clone of Homelander, and that he framed Homelander for several atrocities, including the rape of Becky Sanders, just to have an excuse to kill him. So it was actually Black Noir who is identical.
Who's done pretty much everything.
Yeah, which that's kind of why it is insane for Homelander to go from being accused of rape and cannibalism to being I don't remember any of this. I'm going to overthrow the world.
Yeah, it made no sense.
But
it was nice because, at least so far in the 2 seasons, they've really done nothing to explain Black Noir. So it was nice actually having some kind of an idea of who he is.
Yep, which I've heard rumor that they're not going that route, which, whatever.
Which is fine, but it's still cool to have, and it's very possible he still could be a clone. They're just not using this part of his story. Because until they unmask him, there's nothing saying that.
They kind of did. He's played by a black dude.
Well, I don't remember them unmasking him.
They put the peanuts in his mouth. That's how, what's her name? The Wonder Woman one takes him out. So, yeah, that's the only reason I'm that'd be a weird. That'd be in this
wouldn't be the first time they've done it.
In this political climate, I wouldn't go that route.
Still wouldn't be the first time that the comics and movies have drastically changed a person's race.
True.
So,
I just feel a little
still
too
possible.
I just feel as though they aren't gonna, unfortunately.
Oh, probably not. It's just more of you can't use in this climate on this argument.
Maybe fair. So after Black Noir killed Homelander, Butcher killed the severely injured clone by cracking open its skull with a crowbar, tearing out the brain.
Yeah, he totally went Joker here with a crowbar.
Yeah, straight up. Also, effing fucking kudos ripping out the brain. Straight up make sure that,
That's when you tear it out, bash it up some more.
Yep, just get
there's no
that.
coming back. So though he had avenged his wife, this did not mark the end of Butcher's crusade, as his ultimate goal was to rid the planet of soups entirely.
Yeah, Butcher was literally...
Which I kind of looked into it a little later. Eventually, he ends up betraying the entire The Boys crew, leaving himself as the only soup on the planet.
Damn!
Yeah, because since all of them took the Compound V, they're officially all soups too. And I think, I don't remember for sure, but I think he killed himself too, to officially complete his mission.
Jesus. Well, because, and that's also where, I did notice...
He was very Punisher with it.
I did notice a lot of stuff I'd seen on him from the comics versus in the show. That's why he didn't want the girl on the team, was because she was soup. And it's also why, him willing to take the Compound V and give his team the Compound V in the comics to level the playing field, the version of him in the show, I can't see doing that as quickly as
I
he
could
did.
still see him doing it.
I could see him doing it at a certain point, but as quickly as he was like, let's fucking do this.
Well, we've already hit the point from what I've seen from the shows, by season 2, he would have already done it.
Yeah, would have, but like that, I feel as though the character in the show is more humanized and more grounded than the comic one.
I mean, yes, but not by much. Not enough to where I can't see him doing it.
True, like I'm not
I
saying
think you're
like
giving him more credit than he deserves.
I can't see like I can see him doing it. I feel as though he's more likable in the live action than the comic. He's more redeemably likable, I feel.
Yes, then the comic, yes, but still, his character is enough to where there's nothing stopping him from taking the compound and making his team take it too.
I just feel as though he hasn't been pushed.
Okay, let's move on.
Okay, let's go into powers and abilities. So having Compound V, he has superhuman strength. Butcher's physical strength was augmented by the Compound V. This allows Billy the ability to casually injure and kill normal humans and soups. Also, he has superhuman durability. Comes, I feel, with the territory. Expert hand-to-hand combatant. Butcher is an extremely skilled fighter. He is very strong in combat, physically and mentally. And that he is an expert at manipulation. So, gifted intelligence. Butcher has been described by Homelander as very smart. He has impressive tactical knowledge, able to place bugs and send untraceable messages with ease. Which, in a world with this kind of tech and superheroes, quite impressive.
That's extremely impressive.
He also has an indomitable will. Butcher is extremely determined man, never giving up on his mission to keep the Seven and all soups in line. He repeatedly stood up against extremely powerful beings like Homelander. He's also an expert marksman, expert leader, expert in deception, as I have already said, and manipulation, and he's also quite the intimidating force.
Well, when you walk around with a crowbar.
Yeah, right? So, also weaknesses is short-tempered, and they did even preface this, not really, they preface it on the website, it's not a weakness, but I feel as though it kind of is, he has had suicidal tendencies.
As death. I mean, it's all your normal human weaknesses.
Exactly, just all, like, a lot of internal mental stuff.
Yep.
And now equipment. I'm going to actually let you take this.
So, he has a Beretta 92FS Enox, which I'm assuming is a type of pistol.
Yeah,
I have no idea what that is.
I'm assuming, too.
I know the next one is a Serbu BFG-50A, which is a semi-automatic 50 caliber sniper rifle.
It's kind of why I let you take this. I figured
the weapon that is, if I remember correctly, is not an anti-personnel weapon like most snipers. It's an anti-material rifle. Because you don't shoot the people, you shoot the wall that you just kind of hit the people behind it.
I mean, when you're dealing with Superman level threats.
Oh, I'd be using an anti-material rifle too.
Oh, yeah.
And then, as we've talked about a few times, he is commonly shown in the comics wielding a crowbar.
Oh, yeah.
Because, yeah, he had to have been a fan of the Joker.
Definitely. And honestly, that's actually why I let you take this. I'm like, I feel as though Joker knows more about at least sniper rifles from the games we've played than I do. So I'm like, I don't know any of these numbers.
Yeah, BFG, big fucking gun.
And as far as media appearances, I think we all...
Literally all it is the comics and the show.
Yep.
Though I guess there was a short film that was made that was supposed to show between, I think it was season 1 and 2.
Oh, what?
I don't remember much about what I read on it, but I don't remember if it was a long thing or if it was actually made or what.
That would have been cool. Aw. Well, that's it. Joker. You a fan?
Oh, definitely. I always love seeing quote-unquote ordinary humans taking on soups.
Same. I'm a fan because the guy's just crazy, and I love a crazy character. For anyone that's still listening, if you got something out of this, enjoyed the episode, or even liked the character before from a movie, comic, cartoon, hell, even that t-shirt that you saw one time. You're a fan too. If you want to jump on this train, why not subscribe and share with a friend? Dick Rail out. Y'all keep riding them rails.